Another piece of news coming in, Iran has now issued a sharp warning to President Donald Trump, vowing that he must pay the price for the strikes that have killed Iran's top leadership. Tehran has hardened its stance, warning of retaliation and blaming Washington for this escalating tension and conflict. Let me go straight across to my guests who are joining me on the broadcast this afternoon. Also, actually, Iran's president now saying, thank you, General Kulkarni, for being with us, and Abhijit Ayer Mitra, thank you very much for being with us. Iran's president also now saying that he actually wants good relations with his neighbors, but essentially he has no choice but to go in for the sort of strikes that we are seeing right now. I want to understand from you what you make of the Revolutionary Guard statement that has just come in. A lot of people asking the question, how long can Iran go on? Look at their military arsenal and then look at the combined might of the US and the Israelis. They say 6 months of intense war, we have enough to sustain us. We've been preparing for this war for the last 30 years. What's your assessment?
Thank you, Shreya. I think the very fact that Pezeshkian is saying something, the IRGC is saying something, is indicative that there seems divided opinion and all on their own. Most of them have been telling their provinces they're entirely on their own. Secondly, the very fact that they have come out with a statement that the last 6 months is also a psychological thing. Presume it, they're virtually giving in to say, well, now they're at the fag end. The fact that Trump is saying to Larijani, you do what you want to do, I care two hoots for what you're saying.
No, but here's the point, General Kulkarni. Trump is claiming, I've decimated everything. I've decimated their missile forces, their navy, their air force, their army. Arey bhai, sab kuch decimate ho gaya hota, to Iran would not be striking the way it is.
See, what happens is, obviously since 1980, since the sanctions were imposed on Iran, Iran's been preparing for this particular day. There is no denying the fact first. Second, that the air supremacy is with the Western forces. No denying the fact the Americans and the Israelis have air supremacy. The Navy has been decimated. Their missile and the drones are getting depleted. But to say that all of it would have gone, no. There are various ranges, ranging from 300, 150 kilometers, 300 kilometers, to going as high as 2,000 kilometers. So they would be keeping it. But all their launchers are being hit badly. Their refineries are now being hit. All the provinces are being hit. Every infrastructure has been gone down. 80% of Iran is in urban area. Tehran has got 1.5 million population. Being hit so hard is indicative. Iran is on the back foot. Should the Americans
That is what they said about Ukraine as well, and it's been 4 years now.
Ukraine, Shreya, is a different ballgame because Ukraine had 32 countries joined together fighting.
And Iran is isolated. That's true. Okay, there's a set of pictures that are now coming to us from the Iranian media. Let's just put that in as well. This footage is purportedly showing a fire in the Jufair district in Bahrain, where the US Navy's 5th fleet is headquartered. I think this is the second time then, Abhijit, you can come in here in a minute, but to my mind, this is the second time then, the location where the US Navy's 5th fleet is located is being hit. Do stay on with us, but I also have another piece of information coming in again from Iran, where Iran is claiming that the Al Ubaid airbase of, well, this is what they are saying, I'm just quoting them now, the Al Ubaid airbase of American terrorists have struck the IRGC public relations. In the early hours of this morning, the Navy, that's the IRGC Navy, in a combined drone and ballistic missile operation, struck the Al Ubaid airbase of the American terrorists. Again, I'm just quoting from them. In this wave of the attack, the ballistic missile unit of the IRGC Navy precisely struck the helicopter preparation and maintenance center of the base, the fuel depot for helicopters and aircraft, and the command building of this terrorist base, resulting in severe destruction. Which then tells us, Abhijit, and correct me if I'm wrong, which then tells us that President Donald Trump may want us to believe that Iran has run out of arms and ammunition and leadership, but that is clearly not the case, at least at this point of time.
So Shreya, their redundancy seems to be working very well. After the last time they expected, we think they expected, a decapitation of the leadership, which is why the IRGC was put on autopilot. And ever since Khamenei has been taken out, I don't know if you saw the telegram message yesterday put out by the IRGC. They were really rude in their rebuff to President Pezeshkian. Of course, unlike what media was reporting, Pezeshkian never apologized. He just commiserated with the girls who had been killed in Minab and asked on the Iranian nation to continue war. But even that was too mild for the IRGC, and they literally, shamed their president in public, for a want of a better word. Now, Iran's strategy, we need to understand. Iran is very much going to get hammered in this. There is no if or but about it.
Absolutely.
The allies have air superiority. So, what have they done? They've come up with this very intelligent strategy that if you allow that 88-member assembly of experts to meet, they will invariably, my chosen candidate, well, I think the chosen candidate is going to be Ayatollah Mir Bakeri, who makes Khamenei look like a moderate in comparison. Because at times of war, you double down on ideology. Now, America has a choice now. You either get a chap who is going to be even more rabid, and therefore you allow the assembly of experts to meet, or you bomb the assembly of experts, which they can do, and the attacks will continue because the IRGC owes its direct command to the supreme leader, not to the president.
Correct.
So General Saab said something very important, that their missile stocks will have to deplete. I'm not even going to the economics of, intercepting a $20,000-$30,000 drone with a $4 million missile. But when that depletes, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to absorb blow after blow after blow. Net result, their ground control is going to remain quite intact, like we saw Saddam Hussein, even after no-fly zones were imposed in the north and south, remained quite intact. And what will the Americans do? Are they going to go in for a ground invasion? Last point in all of this. If they just survive, if the regime survives, this becomes guerrilla logic. They've won.
Correct. We are again hearing from the Iranian media. They seem to be getting active at 1:11 on a Sunday. This is what the Iranian media is claiming, and we'll put those pictures out as well. Iran is saying that they've destroyed 7 advanced new radars, and now the eyes of Israel and the US are blinded. General Kulkarni, possibly this is psyops that is underway, part of any war that takes place, right?
Absolutely right. It's a psyops, notwithstanding what's being said. Even if the Americans spend $3.5 billion per day, it's worth it for America. Because since they've taken on this initiative of wanting to control oil, both in Iran and Venezuela, it's only after that that the Americans are now going to sleep. Because another 100 years, Americans don't want anything. Because if this is the only way America can, it can't be left halfway now. America's already into it. And now they're decimating one after the other. The Iranians, of course, my love for Iranians, my closeness with the Iranians, my civilizational connect with the Iranians, but the fact remains, Iran cannot sustain itself. You may have Josh, Jazba, Junoon, but you have to have military resources to fight the Americans. How will you fight? How long can you fight?
But then, Abhijit, very quickly, the last chapter of this entire American project in Iran will have to be then what President Trump says, picking a leader of my choice.
Well, the thing is, they're never going to pick a leader of his choice. We know this historically with ideological regimes. When North Korea was squeezed and isolated, what did they do? They doubled down on ideology. The Holocaust actually started when the reverses, it properly started. The gas camps, not the actual killing, started when the reverses on the Eastern Front in Stalingrad happened. So, this is a known sociological phenomenon. The more you push them, the more they'll double down. And God forbid at some point, Shreya, they decide to use a dirty bomb because, detonating just radioactive material in the high atmosphere over Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, you're going to wreck that region.
We've seen, let's just put those pictures back again that came to us from Tehran, where its oil infrastructure has been hit. I believe there are at least 3 oil depots. Not this one, guys. There is another one, which is a tracking shot, which has been put on by an eyewitness. Just let's put that picture on so that our viewers know what we are talking about. General, we are seeing this set of pictures. Just a caveat here, it's from the 6th. But if an oil depot has been stuck, we know from past experience that the fire will be raging on for weeks, if not months, right? You have at least 3 oil depots that have been hit in Iran, and Iran is saying, now this is open season. Well, it was open season 9 days ago, but now they're saying it's open season. You have hit our infrastructure, energy infrastructure. Now we are going to hit your civil infrastructure. Therefore, in Bahrain, you have a desalination plant that has been hit. And for people who don't know, a desalination plant is essentially one that takes water from, in this case, from the Persian Gulf and then makes it potable. And almost 90% of the Gulf, all the Gulf regions, depend on these plants for their drinking water across the Gulf, all 6, 7, 8 countries. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you, is that next? We are seeing energy infrastructure. Just look at that picture. It tells you the horrifying reality of what a war really looks like. But this is energy infrastructure being hit, targeted. But if desalination plants are being hit, Iran is moving to a strategy. You take our energy out, we are going to take your water out. And in the Gulf, if there is one thing more important, General, than oil, it is water. You can't drink oil after all.
In fact, there's an oil shortage even in Tehran. Shortage of water in Tehran itself. So, see, this is scorched earth policy now that the Americans have adopted. They are not going to leave. They are going to hell for leather, irrespective of what it is. The desalination plants will come up. There is no denying the fact. Yes, when you hit water, most of these tankers will bring oil and take back drinking water also, and fresh water. It is not that. But the fact is, even if anybody does use the dirty bomb, let's put it this way, which is nothing but a confusion and disruption. It is not a cause of destruction, but it is a cause of disruption. They have a thermobarics also. They have done all that. Let's be factual and let's be honest. Let's be sincere. Let's know our limitations and do the SWOT analysis. It's time for Iran honorably to exit.
Do you agree with that, Abhijit? Because the general seems to be suggesting, and he is saying that that Israel and America had, war gamed the entire scenario. Is that what it is looking like to you? Or are they just, making this up as they go along?
I think the general is right. They had war gamed the scenario. I think the problem is there was too much wishful thinking in that war gaming. Because we expected attacks on American bases in the Gulf, almost certainly, because remember the last phase of last year of Rising Lion, they did attack American bases in Qatar, but we did not expect this whole-scale attack on, skyscrapers and hotels and what have you there. One thing is very surprising. We have seen, I'm looking at satellite imagery. There has been remarkable accuracy. I mean, forget all the missed hits. There has also been lots of missed hits and things. But the Iranians are getting more than what we expected share of American and Gulf military facilities. There is also not enough American assets in the Gulf to provide air cover for this kind of, Iranian response. And I'm simply going by Trump's truth yesterday on Truth Social. He seems to be off the rails. I mean, I know that's used very often with Mr. Trump, but I don't think he's very happy with the way, he didn't sound happy with the way the war was going.
Okay. Just to give context to our viewers about the pictures we are seeing in general, if you want to come in. Iran now saying that they've launched hybrid drone missile strikes against the Al-Adiri base, which is housing US forces in Kuwait. I mean, they continue to strike at a time when I understand that they, again, what I'm trying to say is that, President Trump, I think it was on day 3 or day 4 of the war, stepped out and said that we had expected Iran to hit us much harder, but they haven't. And then we've heard it from the Israelis as well. Is that why? That they were actually rationing what they have? Because they know that this is going to be the long haul?
Iran knew it's a long haul. Iran knew it's a long haul. Iran is also looking for leadership in that entire thing. The entire crisis is leadership. Who? Saudi Arabia or Iran? Who facilitated the two between Iran and Saudi Arabia? The Chinese. Who are the ones who are actually going to be hit? The Chinese. Because the control of oil must stay with the USA. That is their desire. It may not be my desire. It may not be. We may not want. But that's what the Americans are. It's a unipolar world. If you have in you, please fight it out. That's what the Americans are obviously openly challenging the world. You have it in you, fight it out. We want control of oil because $39 trillion debt of America can only be done away with if you're printing dollars. There's no collateral. So that's only.
But what is happening in the Gulf is impacting all of us. Closer home, we know that our LPG cylinders, their prices increase. Something we should have expected. These are extraordinary times. What can one say?
Qatar gives 40% of our gas.
Correct.
Qatar